everyone. Welcome to the 2021 JHHS Shine Conference. My name is Maddie Whalen. I'm the Evidence-Based Practice Program Coordinator with the Center for Nursing Inquiry, and I am here with my nursing colleagues to talk about learning how to do the EBP process. So we'll take a second to have everyone introduce themselves, and then we will get started with some of our questions.
Hi, my name is Christine Strott. I am one of the lead clinical nurses and educators in GYN OB at downtown JHH.
Hi there, my name is Grace Carter. I'm one of the lead clinical nurses in the pediatric perioperative area at Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Watson, and I am the nurse scientist for the Johns Hopkins Health System.
Hi, my name is Linda Fair. I just moved to a new role in patient safety, but during the EBP cohort, I was a lead clinical nurse in the CCU at Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Hi, I'm Lisa Smith. I'm a nurse.
Hi, I'm Tania Randell. I'm a clinical nurse specialist in the PCCU at Johns Hopkins main campus.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us. So you all got to know each other doing what we were calling the Johns Hopkins Health System Evidence-Based Practice Cohort, but that term is probably not familiar to everybody. So Grace, can you just tell us a little bit about what that meant and what we did as a group?
Sure. The CNOs had approved an EBP, the Evidence-Based Practice Cohort, to build competence and confidence in the EBP process. And once the invites were out sent via email, the cohort consisted of 44 people in various roles from 5 of our Johns Hopkins affiliates. And so along with the Center of Nursing Inquiry and the Institute of Johns Hopkins Nursing, they mentored the boot camp in the EBP process, and the CNOs challenged this group on finding the evidence to improve our preceptor programs across the health system.
Awesome, Grace. It was a very long process, but that was a very quick and easy way to explain it. So thank you very much. So I know that we all learned a lot from each other and from the process itself, but Heather, can you tell us what one of your favorite learning opportunities was during the cohort?
Sure. I think one of my favorite parts during the cohort was learning how much people were doing at all the other affiliates. So sort of networking with people and finding out all the different projects that people were interested in or wanted to take this learning opportunity and then apply further at each of their areas. So I think that was one of my favorite parts.
Awesome. Lisa, how about you? What was one of the favorite things that you learned during the cohort?
Just in general, so just getting to know all the nurses, just a special opportunity to know all the nurses at the different affiliates, and especially within their units, and just what they're interested in, what they're involved in, and just how their units work all together.
Thanks, Lisa. I think your audio is going out a little bit, but we'll just make sure that anything that we were able to catch, we're going to put it in the discussion board that people can check out after the talk, just to make sure they got every single word that you shared with us. Thank you, Lisa. And then Tania, last but not least, what was one of the favorite things that you learned during the cohort?
I really enjoyed being in small groups. We broke into groups of about 6 to 8 people from, all the different entities. And I enjoyed that because we all had different levels of understanding of the EBP process. So we were able to teach each other and learn from each other. And I think that really helped to solidify some of the aspects of the EBP process. Yeah,
so it sounds like learning by doing was a really important thing for you. And I like you brought up that people were at all different levels, because I think that some people would say, Heather, you are the nurse scientist, you have your PhD, so what were you doing in an EBP cohort?
That's such a great question. So, right, I've done a lot of evidence-based literature reviews before, but when we started this process, I was pretty new to my role as the nurse scientist at Johns Hopkins. And what was really important was for me to understand our model, our EBP model specifically. And since the cohort was able to work through all of the steps and dependencies of our model, it was such a great opportunity for me to understand it inside and out, but also it showed me how important having a model like that was to follow. I wish I'd had that when I was doing my dissertation work. My things would have been much better organized.
And I think you bring up too that we are all learning from each other all the time. Like I'm the evidence-based practice program coordinator, and I learn all the time from talking to my colleagues about appraising articles and did you notice this or I didn't see that, and we're really all teaching each other all the time. So I think even if you're an expert, you still have room to learn.
Right. I'm not an expert in EBP. That's your role, but it was a great way for me to learn more. And it was wonderful to be able to do that.
Yeah, it was so nice having such a wide group of people and with different backgrounds and levels of experience. So we did start in February 2020, which I think everyone now knows what that means. We got about 4 in-person classes under our belt, and then we had to pause because of COVID, which I think everyone is pretty used to hearing these days. So Linda, could you just sort of fill everyone in on what that looked like when we had to pivot from our pre-COVID to our post-COVID meetings?
Yeah, that was definitely a challenge. I mean, most of us are clinical and we all had to kind of reprioritize work to deal with the pandemic. But we never lost leadership support to continue the cohort. So even though we couldn't meet in person, we just pivoted to a virtual platform, and we all learned a lot about how to get in and out of breakout rooms. And, it was great to reconnect with everyone. And we were able to finish the work, which is a really big accomplishment considering everything else that we had going on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's really easy to say, well, this is now a back burner thing. We have patient care, which is of course true. But I think also being in COVID and having so many unknowns, it really, for me, reinforced how important evidence-based practice is when you don't have it. We didn't know, there was no evidence. We didn't know what to do. And so not having that background of literature to inform our practice really made me realize how important it is to actually be able to do that when we do big projects and small projects when we go to the literature. So Lisa, you are our colleague from Baby, so I'm so glad that you're here. And can you tell us a little bit more about what you feel better prepared to do after participating in the cohort?
So I would say writing the EBP Cohort Experience, great support and resources the Nursing Inquiry Council provides, and help other nursing colleagues with their nursing inquiry from the beginning all the way through to dissemination, and hoping that together we'll be able to share all of our findings from all of our nursing inquiry projects across the Johns Hopkins health system, inside and outside Johns Hopkins, at other major conferences.
Thanks, Lisa. You again, we're cutting out a little bit, but I have the background story because I email Lisa all the time about stuff. So I'm going to put some words in her mouth. And I think that she was saying that one of the things that she's been able to do, and I've been able to work with her on, is the dissemination of the project. So disseminating within Bayview, going to some of the important leadership meetings, and then also writing a manuscript, which is we're tying the bow up on now. Hopefully it'll be ready for submission soon. And so I, again, putting words in Lisa's mouth, think that that was probably one of the bigger learning opportunities. You want to give us a thumbs up, Lisa? Does that sound right? All right. And of course, we'll put, again, your comments in the discussion board if everyone wants to, to go back and see exactly what the ins and outs of what you were saying. So I think that we had a lot of, obvious benefits to participating, learning the EBP process. But Christine, what were some of the unexpected benefits that you saw from participating in the cohort?
So one of the unexpected benefits was just networking. So meeting a bunch of different colleagues in different areas. We actually had on our unit a big change with some of our roles in certain staff, and it was very nice to be able to reach out to one of the other nurses in the cohort and kind of ask her for what their task list was or what kind of things, and then we were able in our unit to kind of edit that list to work for us. So it was nice that I didn't have to kind of go recreate something that had already been used elsewhere. And without this cohort in one of the breakout rooms and kind of meeting, I would not have had that resource. So it was just really nice to be able to do that. One of the other things too, I think, is just knowing resources when other nurses on the unit want to do some type of research or are interested in it, and being able to kind of lead them in the right direction to hopefully do evidence-based practice project in the future.
Awesome. So at Hopkins, I think we all know we're kind of in silos, and this was sort of a new way to break down some of those silos and make connections that you wouldn't have been able to make otherwise, it sounds like. Grace, what about you? What was one of the things that you found to be an unexpected benefit for participating?
Well, when I applied for the invitation, I certainly was not thinking forward and, oh, I'm going to do Scholars Day or the Shine conference that it's called now. So Maddie was able to invite our cohort to say who would like to do an application to Shine, and I was successful with the cohort's assistants to do the application, and happy to say that you'll be seeing our project there if you attend.
Yeah, so it was selected for both a poster and a podium presentation. So in this on-demand library where everyone's watching this video, there is also going to be a recording of your live presentation that's going over the project itself. And then, of course, we'll have our both virtual and in-person poster hall where anyone can check out the poster for the project as well. So if you want to hear more about sort of what the cohort found with the project versus the process itself, that's definitely what you can check out. So last but not least, last question, Linda. What was one of the things that surprised you while being in the cohort?
I had a lot of fun. And when I first heard about this opportunity, the reason that I wanted to do it was because I know that the EBP process is important. I really wanted to be better at, doing the whole literature search and critical appraisal of articles, but I honestly thought it was going to be kind of painful. It just was an area of weakness for me. And everything was just, broken down really simply. We did everything together and we had a great time. So that was fun.
Awesome. I'm glad that you had a good time, and I'm glad, and I appreciate you being honest that it is sometimes seems a little bit daunting or maybe just, less fun. So I'm glad that was a happy surprise for you. Christine, what surprised you?
I think just actually the being able to get this done and like the project done during COVID. I think when COVID started, it put a stop to a lot of things, some of which I still think have not really gone back totally yet. So it was just refreshing to not only be part of a project that, had a goal and completed that goal, but in the middle of a pandemic when there's so much other stress and so many other things that, are at the forefront, it was just really nice to be able to accomplish this cohort and have a final, manuscript at the end and poster and recommendations for preceptors.
Yeah, for sure. Grace, what about you? What surprised you?
I think I had similar feelings of Linda and Christine, but also just the fact of how easy the process is. Like looking at the actual book of the process looks a little bit daunting and lengthy, but just breaking it down and going through the process, and each line gives you a map to follow. And because of how, well, not simple, I don't want to say that, but because of how easy it is, I will have the confidence now to share with my staff that we can do this together if you have a project that you want to implement.
Yeah, I really like that you brought up the fact that it's sort of like a roadmap, right? The whole model was built with bedside nurses in mind. The idea isn't that you're sitting in an ivory tower and you're doing a huge research project and this is sort of your background. This is what we want our nurses that are providing patient care to be able to do every day. And all the updates we make to the tools and to the book itself are based on feedback from frontline nurses and also working with frontline nurses through projects. So it really is meant to be as accessible as possible. And I know as nurses, we like checklists. So there's always checklists in there, which is helpful. If anyone who's watching would like to do an EBP project, you can always reach out to the Center for Nursing Inquiry. We are here for you to answer any questions you might have. If you're either getting started, you're in the middle, you're finishing up, we're more than happy to weigh in on anything that you might want some advice about. You can also feel free to check out the discussion board, which is linked here. If you would like to follow up and ask any questions of our cohort members, our panel, they are going to be monitoring the discussion board and will be answering any questions you have. And thank you for joining us for the 2021 JHHS Shine Conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.